I was just a simple, normal child. I mean, I didn't think much about what you want to do when you grow up. When you are a child, those days, did we used to think about those things? We were focused on doing well in school. I always did well in school. Always amongst the top in my class from when I was very young. I was very confident, always been outspoken. I was daddy's girl, that's why I guess. So I was very confident. I did the normal things everybody did who grew up in normal estates in East Land. We played over weekends. We did our homework very quickly so that we can play kati. Those days, you know, everybody played the same games. The games had seasons. So there were seasons for kati, there were seasons for bladder, there were seasons for shake. We couldn't wait for our parents to leave on school holidays, so the entire parking of the estate we can draw for shake, you know, and we played that the whole day. And then they started talking to us about career choices and thinking about career, I think in standard 6 or thereabout. And those days the careers were not many. You were either told you're very clever, doctor, nurse, pilot, air hostess, banker, engineer. In fact, engineering, they didn't talk much about it. But for some reason, all the girls were directed towards nursing and air hostess. So at some point, I pictured myself being an air hostess. At some point, not that it was a career thing. You know how you just think, oh, it looks nice, they wear a nice uniform. But that quickly disappeared even by the time I did my primary school. I did very well, went to Precious Blood. Those days, Precious Blood was Precious Blood, you know, like alliance type. We still say I went to Precious Blood, you know. Everybody knows what you're saying with that. And then we did our subjects. I was not very keen on what it is that I wanted to be. The only thing I knew is I didn't like history too much, and I didn't like literature too much. But now, amazingly, I like reading nowadays. Then I didn't. Maybe it's a choice of books that we had in PB, but it was compulsory to do literature. But I dropped history immediately. I could in Form 3 and took geography. So my ambition was to do maths, geography, and economics and end up in the finance sector. Now my problem is I did very well. So they decided not to give me the choice of school I had chosen, because in that year we were the last A-level. And so they said only a few select schools were offering MG-Con. And the schools that were offering, my parents didn't think that I should go there because, first of all, it was day school. Secondly, you did extremely well, you can't go to that school. And then the school that called me to do MPC, maths, physics, and chemistry. So anyway, my dad wasn't doing very well health-wise then, so he persuaded me to change the physics to biology. And of course, they persuaded me you could do very well in medicine. And because he wasn't well, he said there are not very many kidney specialists in this country. You could become one of, at that time I think there were 2 very good ones. I forget their names. 6th form, just before my mocks, my dad passed away. So I said, okay, I really didn't even want to do this biology anyway. I was doing it for him, to become a doctor, to treat him. So I kind of dropped the whole thing, but fortunately made it to university. Went through it just like a routine, got into the Christian Union and discipleship in my first semester. So I got saved in first year, and that was my university life. He was just a great dad. He was an affirming father. He listened. He talked very little. I talked all the time, and he had the patience. You know how it is when you have children and you have those children who talk non-stop, and he would say is or even keep quiet and continue watching, but I'll still talk and sit there. Then he did small things. You ask for a school bag, he buys it. You know, your new shoes come out, these butter shoes with a buckle. You know, when you're a kid, those things. And he would say, if you're number 1 to 3, you'll get it. And of course, I will be number 1 to 3. So of course, I'll get the shoes. Dad, what do you think? Yeah, that would be probably every day. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about me being in politics? Well, how do you think my sons are doing? Do you think he should be choosing that career? Dad, would you like to talk to him? You know, those kind of things, especially now when you try to tell them something and they can't listen. You know, he would be one of those. Why are you assuming that I left? During the season when I was a Christian, and now that you're not, I assume I'm backslidden. CU was very conservative, right? And us guys have come from Nairobi. So in Nairobi, ladies wear trousers, for example. We put nail polish. Now the CU is saying you can't. Then you're not truly a Christian. We're not, even braiding was an issue. You know, those kind of things? So that was a shocker. So we were caught in between Nairobi Christianity and the Christianity of CU. In fact, I was even discussing that this weekend with some friends of mine who are still very close up to now, how they used to go and pray for us in the bees. The bees were the halls down somewhere far where people used to go and pray at 5 in the morning. And you'd go there and find people praying for you. And you're amongst them. So they pray for Sister Anne and Sister, you know, that we get truly saved. But the good thing is that there was a ministry that was started called Discipleship Ministry. A group of people from Nairobi Baptist formed another group that would accommodate the Christians from Nairobi, where they didn't care too much about the skirt being very long. And not going to pray very loudly in the bees, you know, and focus more on teaching of the Bible. Some of those people are the ones who eventually came and formed Chapel, the church. So we moved to DM. Yeah, we call it DM, Discipleship Ministry. Even me, I'm still surprised. I mean, I still ask myself, what in the world? Yeah, but so it wasn't that I ever planned. I actually never thought myself a politician. I saw myself a civil servant. When I started working, because I like to think, and I'd read and I would say, I would like to work in government if that's what changes things. I'm not a very good complainer. So my ambition at some point was to join the civil service and become a PS. Luckily for me, where I went to work, I started some consultancies, then went to work, had a stint with the World Bank, and that brought me into government. I was doing something else for the World Bank, and then one day they were looking for someone to help them develop a reforms program for the government of Kenya. At that time, the President Kibaki was the president, and they seconded me as an advisor. So that's how I got into the civil service. So when I got in, of course, now everyone says, no, she can't leave, she has to stay, she should be integrated. One thing led to another. I got into like almost full time, and I had to leave the World Bank assignment. And then my secondment was taken over by UNDP, who were paying for all the consultants in the office of the president. And then I went to Treasury. But before I went to Treasury, actually, I left because I got a job at Citigroup, right? Citibank. When I was at Citibank, I was called back to government. I remember PS Kinyua then calling me and asked me, what are you doing in Citibank? I said, I'm working. And he said, why? I said, it's a lot easier, less politics, good pay and good perks. I was assistant vice president then, and I was young, so there was a career path in front of me, and I was heading the public sector section. And he told me, I don't think you were made to keep keys to a vault. I said, really? He said, yeah, I think you need to prepare to come back to the civil service. Stop sitting out there complaining about what we could do, come and do it. People, all manner of characters in politics. Yeah, we are a good mix of anything you can think of. In fact, if you want to do a survey and you want to sample different characters, I think politics is the place to do that sampling. You'll get people who are charismatic, you'll get people who are dull, you'll get people who are very intelligent, you'll get people who are not so intelligent, you'll get people who are very honest, you'll get very dishonest people, you'll get people whose intentions are good, you'll get those who are full of trickery, and malice. Then you will get people who are focused and ambitious. Then you'll find people who are just okay with the situations. And then the other thing about politics is expectations of people on politicians. We really elevate politicians. In other countries, it's not like that, especially the developed countries. Here, a politician is a big thing, a very big thing. It's a big thing to be elected, don't misunderstand me, but we put them almost above everything else. Let me give you an example. I go for a wedding. Let's say Rita invites me for her sister's wedding. I have really no role in that her sister's wedding. But when I get there, I will be put in front. I'll be given the mic to say something. I don't even know her. I only went because it's Rita invited me. You understand? In other countries, they will probably not give us that kind of, you'll just be a guest, like every other guest. I try very much for it not to change me. What it has done, it has disillusioned me a bit. When I sit sometimes I think, can that change? If it is us doing it this way. You get, can that really change? Can the things that matter really be changed? Sometimes you would even do things that are not a priority, because if you don't, they will have a political cost on you. So you take resources to do that, and you know that if I was given like 4 things that I should do, which are of great priority for this county, this would have been number 3. I have a good sounding board, and people who will prod me, they think that, who is that again? What did you say? Is that you? So that there's always a check. I keep my social circle that is not very fascinated by politicians who will tell you things as they are. Yeah, so that keeps my feet on the ground. I think the thing that sobers me, let me say that, is the realization of how little you control. And when you accept that from a very early age, very little shakes you. I have a very pragmatic way of looking at things. There are things I can change, and there are things that I can't. For example, you may want to be a parent of 2 boys, 1 girl, and all of them become boys. There's really nothing you can do about it. That kind of thing. How your children turn out. You can parent the best way you can. You counsel them, you take them to the same school, you do the best you can, but you can't quite determine the choices that they make when they are out of your shelter. It doesn't shake my confidence. What it does is that increases my faith in God. They're not public. I separate them completely. Apart from the few times they've had to engage with the public, maybe on social media, and they learn very quickly how to deal with it, as in first get off, get a pseudonym, you know. If you have to have a closed group, only your friends can talk to you, not everybody in the world. And that we live just normal lives. If there is a school event, I'm there. If it's important. Not all, when time allows especially. Just normal parenting. We go out, let's go and eat burgers, play a game. We play cards and Kenya at 50. Those kind of things on Saturday mornings. Just normal, like every other family. We do homework, we discipline, we laugh, we spend time, a lot of time. I am a home person. I can stay home, believe it or not, 7 days straight. How would you buy anything? I wouldn't say what. No more. Everybody's looking at you. You know, you can't even buy personal things, you know, for yourself. I miss that. Because if I went to that shop to buy a personal, even the person selling, you're imagining what they're thinking. And then if someone finds you, you're likely to find it on social media. You know, that kind of, I miss the privacy. You know, that I could go and just sit at the food court. I think there's a time I was trying to convince some people to stop at the food court we eat, and they were saying, we're not eating with you at the food court. Even people don't want to be with you at the food court. You know, they're like, I will come to the food court, but I'm not going with you, you know? I miss that. I miss, but sometimes like when you go elsewhere out of Nairobi sometimes, you can be in places where people don't care, which is very nice. But there we find safe spaces. There are places where people don't care. There are not that many, but then you're confined. That I miss. I miss, there was a time when I was staying in Runda. Every Saturday morning I'd walk, and I'd get out of Runda, go to Ridgeways, go around near Windsor, come back. Now I don't know whether I can do that. Maybe I can if I wore a hat and shades and something, but I would be very conscious. I can't go to a hotel and go swimming. Can you imagine? We are on vacation and I cannot swim. Because can you imagine if I wore a costume and went diving in the pool? I'd been, I think I'd trend, you know? And for no reason. My friends will do it and nobody bothers. I think it's every leader's responsibility to mentor, to do the role, whatever you can, to impact others who are coming after you. I don't think it's special. I think it's an obligation. I think it would be wrong if we didn't. I do that in many ways, both deliberately within my team that I work with and the people I work with, and then also within certain structures that I've also worked at establishing. The Daughters of Kenya, for example, where I'm patron. I'm deliberate about impacting the life of those individuals. And hopefully wherever it is that they go, they also will impact in whatever capacities that they get there. So I feel that it's not possible to mentor everybody. So how to do it is also sometimes a daunting task, and how people interpret what mentorship is. You know, mentorship is not coaching. Coaching is different. Coaching is I tell you, oh, you're going for an interview, this is what you say when you're asked this. This is how you dress if you're working in this profession. This is how you make sure that you excel in your work so that you can be recognized and you can be promoted. That's coaching. Mentoring is more emulating. It's more spending time with people who look at you and then want to be like you. Not because you have told them, but because they have seen you live it. No, he pursued me. I wasn't interested in relationships at the time. I was in Treasury. We met, it's not a day. I knew him. We were both married, so we were both in the chapel circle. I were in Lighthouse and was in chapel in the church circles. And he was in the lawyers circle, Christian lawyers circle. So I knew him from there because my ex was also in that circle. Then much later now, we're writing the constitution, they needed somebody to help with the finance chapter. And I was sent from Treasury to go and assist the team. That was a technical team. And he was leading the team. That was before the constitution. So that is where we started arguing, because he was trying to tell me what to write, and I told him, okay, since you are the expert, write it. Why were you calling me from Treasury if you think you know? He says, because then I'm telling you, you can't write it like this, because are the fundamental principles of public finance. Anyway, so we started arguing, took a few bets on some clauses and all, because they would have to go through processes. I won a few. Then from there we became friends. I insisted for about 3 years that I'm not interested in dating. He said neither was he. So we were good friends. So we used to say we're just coughing, right? So people would ask, what are you doing? He said, I'm coughing. I don't know what he's doing. You know, because I told him never ever be married again. I have no such desire. I'm raising my children. I have a career path. I was very clear. So, but he was, he fit the bill. Other than the fact that politics doesn't have prescribed schedules and people are very erratic with diaries, it's been fairly okay. You know, I try very much to almost have a routine. You can almost predict what I will do, almost. It's very rare that I really deviate. Saturday I would be with family because most of them are grown up. Now we only have one child at home. The other 5 and their spouses are out. This Saturday we acquire another spouse of one of them. So from 8 kids will be 9 adults. They also have a life. So we have this schedule for Saturday breakfast. And we do breakfast because then it frees people if those people want to do weddings, especially because they're young, all their friends are getting married or they're in a chama or wedding committee, those things. And not Sundays, because Sundays everybody goes to a different church. Then on weekdays, randomly, we say, hey, where are you? Let's do dinner, you know? So they come for the one-on-one, you know, sort of conversations. Because some of them you can't do when you're all of you. So 3 are married, 2 are dating, so you can imagine. It's quite 5 grandchildren, last one last week. So we are a busy family and I love it. I love dancing. I have my friends from the last 40 years. My Form 1 friends. I got my best friends still. My university roommates are my best friends still. I call you for a party, those are the people you find. And then there are few friends I have acquired as I am in these circles, in politics and all. And my kids don't get an extra allowances. They don't get any allowances. Imagine, people think I'm mean, a bit mean. I think I am trying to teach them to live, but they say that I live. They say it's not practical because of who they are and where they were brought up, and I ask them, who are you? And how have you been brought up? This is their upbringing, you know? So they hustle and they have managed somehow. They've worked out well. Everybody is where they are at and we're comfortable with them wherever you are. And we've brought them up to be what it is you can. So we have kids who live in Ruaka. My son moved out of my house and went to live in Bindigo. He just moved now back to Kile the other day. Then I have the Kile ones. Then I have everyone according to your education and according to your wherever your path leads you. And we treat them all equally. And we love them.